Well, you're staring down the gun barrel of the round 7, the $500,000 World Series sprint cars at Speedway City in South Australia. This is the Goodyear Eagle Stars Dash. Danny Smith and the Diecrest Carline Mufflers 88 Harrower Brothers machine starts on the pole alongside Max Dumsney, Skip Jackson, Trevor Green, Brett Lacey and Brooke Tatnell. Sit to the best. We're underway on what is a very slick racetrack. Now, when we talk about slick, we mean slippery. You see that black rail that runs through most of the track. Hopefully they'll get a bit of rubber down. Danny Smith on the bottom. Dumsney makes it stick on the outside. Well, that is a big move. A lot of experience from Dumsney to keep that car nailed to the track. Danny Smith goes to the bottom. Tony Loxley joins me in commentary. That man there on camera, Skip Jackson, should have more slick track experience than our leader, Max Dumsney, you'd think, Tony.
I think you'd be right there, Wade. But Danny Smith is a specialist on these sort of tracks. He runs all throughout Indiana and the World of Outlaw Tour and the All-Stars Tour. This would suit him right down pat. He's actually pulling away now, so the experience is really coming into play. Max and Skip, they can handle it very well as well.
Well, he drove beautifully out of those corners, and you can see he's hooking the car up as much as he possibly can, running right down the bottom. This is a case where you've got to go slow to go fast. You've got to pull your foot out of the bucket, not get too hard on the gas into the turns. You're just going to light those big right rear tyres up. Back onto the main straight. Danny Smith is your man. Back in second, the Valvoline J&J of Max Dumsney. In third, Skip Jackson. In fourth, oh, look at Lacey smoking the right rear. Sitting back there at about fifth spot. Well, Brooke Tatnell going infield with some problems there. But Danny Smith, this has been a big drive from Danville Dan.
He's put in a great effort. But the slick tracks really tighten up the racing. While it may look a lot slower than normal, the racing they put on is very close and very intense because there's a lot of wheel spin. They're not going forward as fast as they normally do. And there's the checkered flag, and it looks like Danny Smith's taking out the run.
Okay, getting set for the A-main, the move into the traditional four-wide salute here. Good crowd in attendance at Speedway City in South Australia for round 7 of the $500,000 World Series Sprint Cars Travelling Circus. Well, you can see the guys now have shifted their main wings back forward to the more traditional Speedway City setup. Phil March and Darren Jensen are a classic example of how you achieve that. Peter Murphy is there in the O'Brien Aluminium, number 42 car, David Anderson. Now, there's a man who always does well at Speedway City. Nice to see Danny Smith up the pointy end of the field in terms of qualifying, Tone.
Yeah, David Anderson's a long-time campaigner from Wagga, New South Wales. Has some good sponsorship behind him as a hard charger. You know, he's one of these drivers who stops at nothing, always gets the job done in the end. Although sometimes he's come a cropper on occasions, but he's always there and he's always putting on a show.
Well, the guys in the front row have a lot of experience around this track. Brett Lacey in particular, I remember being very successful here. The year after he won the national championship, he built a car of his own design called a Beretta. Ran without a front wing around Speedway City quite often.
And was quick.
Yes, he was. Quite set for a start. Danny Smith alongside Dumsney, and Max Dumsney gets the whole shot into turn 1 and 2. Lacey into third. Chaz Calandro moving forward on the outside of Darren Jensen in the Serco. Number 75. We come out of turn 4. Gee, look at the lead that Dumsney's opened up already over Smith, Jackson, Lacey, March. Ooh, got a push just at the wrong moment there. So did Tatnell. Trevor Green, ever the opportunist, nips into turn number 3, picking up that spot. Looks like the South Aussies are pretty fired up for at least a strong showing at their home circuit, Locks.
Well, you know, and so they should be. South Australia's Speedway City is a racetrack where they've always done very well at. And, you know, they want to put on a good show for the crowd, and I'm sure they'll get there in the end.
Brooke Tatnell muscles his way back past Trevor Green. Here's the Spies Hecker. Number 33 of Brett Lacey. Just up ahead, Skip Jackson. Methodical in his approach. He's like a surgeon the way he cuts through the field. Just at the moment, he's sitting in third. Dumsney is tearing away. Now watch Anderson's car there, the blue car in our shot. That car is very tight. Moving into the corners, you can see it's got the front wheels pointing in a left-hand direction. The car still wants to push deep into the corner. At the moment, it's not proving super successful for him. Jackson starting to mow down Danny Smith. It's a rocket out of turn number 2. Surprisingly, a quick little circuit this place, Speedway City.
Yeah, and you'll also notice, Wade, that they're starting to lay some rubber on the high line as they're going on the high line, entering turns 1 and coming in low, going out of turns 2. They're actually starting to lay rubber again, and a little bit of dust is showing that, but you know, they're starting to chase the high line and they're starting to get around very, very quickly.
It didn't take Max long to pick up the traffic, did it? He just put Peter Smith down.
Never does.
Here comes Mike Van Bremen. He's another one. He brushes him aside, blasts into turn number 3 and 4. Arguably Australia's most versatile motorsport identity, I think, Tony. I know that's a big rap, but then he does touring cars, he does NASCARs, he's an Australian Formula 500 champ, does the sprinters as well. Started off in motocross, there's not a lot he hasn't done.
I believe he's one of Australia's great race car drivers, full stop, whether it be sprint cars, NASCARs, touring cars. It's a shame he didn't stay in touring cars a little bit longer, because in time I believe he would have been right up there with the best of them, but that's the way it goes.
Jackson just put a brilliant move on the bottom, then going into turn 1 on Danny Smith. Now Smith hauled the car back down on the low groove out of the turn. He squared the corner off, just couldn't quite carry the momentum. The car got loose out of the turn. Now Mark Reuter has brought on the yellows. A lot of flame, just unburnt methanol belching out of the pipes of the Dumsney number 5 car as Reuter about set to get moved off the circuit. Now you can see Dumsney's got that wing set way forward. This has always been a track that Dumsney's done well at too. Oh, trouble back in the field between Peter Murphy and Andrew Shirley. And you can see neither one of them, Joel Knott involved as well, neither one of them wanted to stop, Tony, and the reason for that is...
You don't finish, you go to the rear of the field.
Exactly right, you have to go to the rear of the field, so you want to try and keep these cars idling. Of course, no clutch in a sprint car, so only one gear, it's in or it's out, so you've got to keep your foot down. Well, you can see when Max gets off the gas. If you watch just to the rear of the car, near the rear end, you'll see the way, just a little blast of flame. If we stay on the shot here as he goes in the turn, watch for the flame as he gets into the corner. There it is, just off the gas, just for a split second, and hard back on it as he comes out of the turns. So that's where you'll see where Dums is massaging the throttle. There it is again, just licking out. It's the only indication you'll get that he's not completely on the throttle all the way around.
Momentum helps these cars as well too. Because he's out in front, he's built up a momentum. He's got a groove going around the racetrack, and he can follow that groove lap after lap after lap, where a lot of these other drivers you can see are running inside, they're running outside, and they're really a little bit wishy-washy at times.
Danny Smith a little bit average going into 1 and 2 there. In fact, Lacey got him. Of course, these guys can run hydraulic wings on these cars, so they can make changes to the wing setup throughout the race. I don't think Max has touched his, but Danny Smith still running the wing right back over the rear of the car, just trying to hook it up a little. Max is just on a mission. There's about 6 laps left to go in this one. Oh, lap traffic starts to get a bit scary. Here's your second place man, Skip Jackson. And Max, around the outside of Shirley, putting a lap down on Peter Smith. And this is just a demonstration run, ladies and gentlemen, on how you get around a slick racetrack. The cushion getting closer and closer to the wall. Doesn't seem to worry him where he puts his car. It's just hooked up. And that's a credit to his crew chief, Ian Vale.
I was about to say that Ian Vale is responsible for a lot of this. He works very, very hard on the race car. It's a part-time job for him as well, but he works full-time on it of an evening. And the other thing is, of course, that if a young driver is going to come into the sport and they want to learn off a master craftsman, then Max Dumsney is the man to watch, because he really is one of the best in the country.
I hope they're taping this. Onto the main straight. Cushion working its way further and further up the circuit. Only about 4 laps left to travel for the man who originally from Victoria, back down Warrnambool way, now lives in Nelson in New South Wales. Been living here for over 10 years now, but I think Victoria still claims him as one of their own. I'm not sure how Max looks at the whole picture. Jackson to the outside of Shirley. Shirley just holding down his spot. He's been very consistent in the early going. Tries to race back with Jackson, but Skip, beautiful to watch a Skip Jackson too. You watch a driver's left arm. 1 lap to go. Well, Dumsney.
Oh, he's going to hit the wall. Oh.
Unbelievable.
Can't believe it.
Looks like it might have been just a momentary lapse in concentration, and their race leader, after we've just bathed him in glory, has drilled the wall in turn 1.
I'm sure Max would be shaking his head, thumping that steering wheel. Vale would have passed out. He'd be on his way to the hospital now.
Well, Skip Jackson is your new leader. The number 5 car being towed to the infield, and Jackson would be grinning like a Cheshire cat now. He'd be all ivory out in front. The number 7, Skilled Engineering, O'Brien Aluminium car. Oh, you see Danny Smith lock the brakes up then going into the turn.
Might have got a little bit sideways and tried to save the situation.
Well, he didn't want to blow it. Max Dumsney would be bitterly disappointed.
White
Skip
flag.
Jackson, ever the opportunist, guns down the prize money with 2 laps remaining. Now he's got half a lap to go. And Skip Jackson will romp to victory in round 7 of the $500,000 World Series Sprint Cars. The flagman's pretty happy for him. Back in the second spot will be Danny Smith. In third, Trevor Green. David Anderson, big drive from him.
Good drive.
He gets up to 4th place. The track did slick off, as we predicted that it would, but a fabulous drive. And well done to Skip Jackson. Max Dumsney. Well, you don't have to be dead to be stiff. Well, when they throw the gates open at this particular racetrack, I'm talking about Premier Speedway in Warrnambool, Victoria, people don't just file in, they jam in. And the reason for that is some of the most ferocious sprint car racing you'll see this side of the black stump. We have 6 of the best in the Goodyear Eagle Dash now contesting the first 6 starting positions in the main event. And Brooke Tatnall and Trevor Green share the front row. And Brooke Tatnall gets the whole shot, running down low into one and coming out high later in the turn. And Green trying to run him down in the Adrad number 4. Terry Bracken, young Queenslander, doing a good job in the Reeve Cruck Titan Garages 36 Maxim, although Dumsney makes him pay in the Valvoline number 5. Well, Max Dumsney, probably Warrnambool's favourite son, if you take out Gary Rush, that is. Max Dumsney, of course, grew up in this area and holds a special place in his heart. There is the 36 of Terry Bracken. Brooke Tatnall out in front. The car set very tight. See the way it pushes into the corners. Getting a bit of air too. There's a couple of ruts about half track. There is Bracken trying to hold out Skip Jackson now, who wouldn't be happy at all about starting this far back in the main. The way they finish this will be the way they occupy the first 3 rows in the main event coming up shortly. Bracken still doing a good job to hold out Skip, who is relentless on the inside of the skilled engineering. O'Brien Aluminium, number 7. Again, he looks to the bottom, but Bracken doing a good job. If he can just keep the car down low, he's pinching off the corners nicely. Brooke Tatnall, however, in cruise mode. Should wrap up pole position here as Skip Jackson muscles his way through. Brooke Tatnall will do the job and get pole in the Shell Helix number 8. And we're at Warrnambool's Premier Speedway in Victoria now for the running of round 8. The $500,000 World Series Sprint Cars. This scenic coastal town on the coast of Victoria is the home of one of the most exciting racetracks this country has to offer. A quarter mile, frighteningly fast high banks, and a good crowd in attendance for this, the 8th round. Unfortunately, our coverage will only be a highlight sequence due to problems we had, unforeseen circumstances with crowd control. Brooke Tatnall, however, gets the jump. Trevor Green and he will provide the backdrop for one of the most exciting battles this year at this particular racetrack. Skip Jackson, never too far from the front. Max Dumsney is also there as well. David Anderson. Lambert is also in there in the Club Crocodile 77. Here is Trevor Green trying to run down Brooke Tatnall in the Adrad car. Andrew Shirley in the 95, Lucas Oil's entry. Brent Lacey back to the Titan Garages car. Peter Smith, South Aussie, regularly runs here. As they come out of turn number 4, with Peter Murphy back in the field there as well. David Anderson, Lambert, here comes Brooke Tatnall. Starting to get into some heavier traffic now. Shell Helix number 8 car. This is a track for Brooke Tatnall that has been some of the highs and some of the lows in his career. Likewise, the man behind him, Trevor Green, who's won the Warrnambool Classic here, and at the same time has torn up his pride and joy on numerous occasions here. It's that kind of racetrack. You get it right, and sometimes you go home early. Brooke Tatnall working the bottom now. Anderson just up ahead, and in his direct path is the young Queenslander. Oh, you see Peter Smith going off the circuit. Looks like he may have had a punctured left rear. But Anthony Lambert go in a big hurry. He disappeared out of the shot as Brooke Tatnall continues to run away with this. Yellow lights coming on here. I think it may be Lambert. Yes, it is. The 77 car. So Lambert goes into the wall in turn number 1. Away we go, back at the restart. Lap car of Mark Reuter back in position. The ROH wheels, number 95. Green still in the second spot. I see Dumsney starting to come on strong here as well. We're getting towards the end of our coverage. Look at the Mad Harry Steele, number 4 of Brent Anthill. Huge bicycle going into turn number 1 and 2. Here is Trevor Green, under siege now from Nathan McDonald. Good to see the Fraser Shores, number 32, Queenslander, starting to come forward a little bit, having a good run with Green. Out of turn 4, Danny Smith, Carline Mufflers, number 88. Here is Max Dumsney. Oh, Brooke Tatnall in trouble here. Antill strikes him going into turn 1 and 2. Well, our camera angle here. Oh, look out. Antill rolling away from the car, trying to extinguish the flames from the rear of the car. The crash crew quickly on the scene there. Well, we have another angle from which to look at this incident. It's quite nasty. It must rupture the fuel tank here. Watch out for Brooke Tatnell just up ahead. Bang! He drills the wall and rolls over. Ooh, Antil nowhere to run. Tears into the side of him. Flames licking up the side of the number 4 car. You can see wheels torn off, shocks, arms, stops. Plenty of damage to both cars. Both men unhurt, which is the good news. We're back at the restart, and Trevor Green is going to romp away with this in the Adelaide number 4 car and will take a decisive victory, although at the demise of Brooke Tatnell, Trevor Green triumphs. The South Aussie does well. The Goodyear Eagle Dash set down over 6 laps for round 7 of the $500,000 World Series Sprint Cars at Mount Gambia Speedway in South Australia. This is going to be a beauty, as it always is. The top 6 drivers on points for the evening, trying to sort out how they'll start the first 3 rows of the A main. Danny Smith from Indiana in the USA alongside Skip Jackson from Hurstville in New South Wales. The Victorian Brett Lacey alongside Sydney-sider Peter Murphy. Back then to Brooke Tatnell and South Aussie Trevor Green. 6 cars, 6 of the best. We're under green at Mount Gambia Speedway as Danny Smith works Jackson. Oh, trouble back in the field, but everybody just managing to emerge unscathed. Well, Trevor Green very nearly had Lacey and Tatnell then. Clash of wheels coming out of turn number 2, and usually when you see that, somebody's going roll cage down. Nice to see everybody was able to get out of it okay. Out in front, your leader is Danny Smith. Skip Jackson back in the 2nd spot. You can see the boys steaming up those right rear tyres. Watch Danny Smith's left arm in that shot. You can see how busy they are. There's a bit of a groove settling midway through the track. Danny Smith running right through it. Skip Jackson running lower. Watch their left arm. See how hard they work going into the turns. The Diecrest, number 88, Harrower Brothers. Entry of Danny Smith out in front. Skip Jackson in 2nd. Peter Murphy in there. Brian Aluminium, number 42, Maxim in 3rd. Brett Lacey in 4th. The driver of the 33 Spies Hecker car at least guaranteeing himself a spot on the 2nd row on the outside if they finish in this particular order. Brooke Tatnell in trouble. Going to the infield in the Shell Helix Schnee. Well, at the very least, he can start from position 6 in the A main. Let's hope there's no further dramas. Checkered flag is out. From Danville in Indiana, Danny Smith will start on pole for round 7 of the World Series Sprint Cars at Mount Gambia. Skip Jackson from 2. Picturesque Mount Gambia on the border of South Australia and Victoria is the venue for round 7 of the $500,000 World Series Sprint Cars travelling circus. Very talented lineup and a great little venue. Former South Australian sprint car great Bill Barrows has a lot to do with this particular circuit. It's very racy, a track that Bill Barrows himself would have loved to stand on the gas around. Skip Jackson and Danny Smith share the front row. Peter Murphy in the O'Brien Aluminium car out of 3. Brett Lacey from 4. Brooke Tatnell, Trevor Green. Well, Mark Reuter has performed very well to qualify that high. As we rumble into turn number 3 and 4, Smith goes a little high. Murphy makes it stick on the bottom, but Danny Smith is a racer. Look at him hold it on the outside. Murph has a good look on the bottom. Danny Smith and he charge into turn number 3. Murphy very aggressive into the turn. Look at Danny Smith back on the brakes. Tries to bring it back down low. He's got to be careful. He's got Lacey in behind. Speaking of Brett Lacey, monstering the left rear of Danny Smith. Well, no room to breathe here. Johnson almost upends the number 36 tyre power car. Andrew Shirley arrives late in the scene. Nearest Johnson to the left of your screen gets it all crossed up, smokes the right rear and stands her up on the back wheels. Shirley had nowhere to go. 700 horsepower travelling in the wrong direction can be a problem for anyone, and it was for Andrew Shirley. Skip Jackson back in command. Well, there's something that we've become very accustomed to this year. Peter Murphy sits in 2nd, Danny Smith in 3rd, Brett Lacey in 4th, South Aussie Trevor Green back to Max Dumsney, Brooke Tatnell to Nathan McDonald and Mark Reuter, 2nd generation South Aussie star. Skip Jackson out in front and in command. So we see Max Dumsney trying for something a little different. Gee, it's a racy little place, isn't it? Also the home of the King's Challenge here at Mount Gambia. Here comes Brooke Tatnell through on the inside of Max Dumsney. And the Valvoline Protec number 5. The main straight, the Ian Vale prepared. J&J. Oh, Trevor Green just about got tagged by Brooke Tatnell. You can see it's quite cool conditions here at Mount Gambia. The guys are steaming up that right rear tyre. It's not smoke, it's just steam, cool air conditions and warm rubber. That's what you get. Tatnall trying to come back at the Adrad, number 4 of Trevor Green. Deep into turn 3 and 4, Tatnall runs. It's not quite quick enough out of the corners. Green seems to be getting a good run out of the turns. David Anderson, the danger man of sprint car racing from Albury, as Dumsney tries to take on Nathan McDonald. Well, Max is fading just a little bit here. The Speed Hecker, number 33 of Brett Lacey, would have run a lot around this circuit in the past. He and his father, Nipper Lacey, being Victorians, so would have just crossed the border and run both Warrnambool and Gambia. Just up ahead is Brooke Tatnall, but the battle behind them is a pearler. Trevor Green gets around the outside. McDonald tried the low side. Gee, Dumsney swooped on him going into 3. McDonald lost momentum. Sprint car racing is a momentum game. And you saw McDonald had to get over onto the left rear, drive down low on the main straight, and that was all that Dumsney needed. Danny Smith still ahead of Lacey and Tatnall. The big guns of sprint car racing, firing at Mount Gambia. And just watch how smooth Skip Jackson is. Just watch his front wheels if you get a chance. He very rarely alters the line. He keeps the car so very straight. Tatnall working the left rear of Brett Lacey. Shell Helix Schnee, car number 8 sitting behind the Speed Hecker, 33 of Brett Lacey. Gee, I tell you what, think about these two second-generation racers and the battles that their dads respectively had, Father George and Father Nipper. And now, 10 years on, the legacy is still very strong. Skip Jackson coming up on lap traffic now. Well, this is going to be a little tough. There's not a great deal of room to pass on the tight circuit. Going through them was Queenslander Darren Jensen and South Aussie Chaz Calandro. As Skip starts to come up on some lap cars now. Ooh, Phil March, very ragged at the wrong moment. Skip Jackson's got his attention span focused directly on the back of the number 3 car and how he's going to get by. And Peter Murphy putting in a blinder for the O'Brien team. Well, Lacey is under some severe pressure from Tatnall here. Brooke hangs the left front over the curb, but still not able to penetrate the defences of Lacey. He's a former national champ. It's an honour that Brooke Tatnall has been close to. In fact, he's been runner-up on 2 occasions, but never been able to nab. And look at Lacey, shrewd as they come, able to stretch that car from the curb up to about a half-track run and allow Tatnall no room to breathe. Well, you can see Brooke trying everything in the book and then some. Lacey's not going to allow him any latitude. Here comes the Fraser Shores. Number 32 car of the Bundaberg Bullet, Nathan McDonald. Brooke trying to work the outside now and cut across the corner and get out low. But just Lacey, one of the most clever drivers in the game. Look at that, he's using up the quick line and Brooke will be frustrated here. The Shell Helix car cannot find a way through. Well, he's right across the bottom of the circuit. Lacey in the unenviable position of trying to throw a move at Danny Smith and at the same time defend his position from Brooke Tatnall. I don't envy him. Dumsney sitting back, one further spot in the number 5 J&J. Into turn 3 and 4, quite a banked little circuit is Mount Gambia. Beautiful venue and a very racy little track. Lacey once more trying to work over Smith. Here comes Dumsney and McDonald now. Well, what a battle we've got here. A 5-way battle here, and you can throw a bikini strap over all of them. Tatnall once again looks for the inside line on Lacey. He drifts high here. Dumsney is right there. Ever the opportunist. Hangs Tatnall out to dry. Well, this is the danger of racing so close. You get it with sprint car racing quite a bit. Brooke Tatnall went high, trying to get the apex low out of the turn on Lacey, and Dumsney was there to snare the prize money. Out of turn number 4, Dumsney still smarting from leading the World Series round at Adelaide just recently and then drilling the wall in turn 1 with 2 laps remaining. Would dearly love to get up and get a podium finish. Jackson starting to work the lap cars, really hasn't had to get through a great deal of them, and Murphy is right there with him. So Skip's got to be careful. Mark Reuter in behind McDonald. The young South Aussie doing a nice job. Tatnall once again trying it on with Dumsney. Only a handful of laps remaining in round 7 of the $500,000 World Series Sprint Cars. And just look at this battle. Danny Smith very clever in the Harrower brothers car. You can see Peter Murphy in the O'Brien Aluminium, number 42 Maxim. Spent a lot of time in the USA with Steve Kinzer last year, and at the end of this tour, he'll head back stateside to drive at the Morris Williams number 0 Maxim car, running some World of Outlaws and California racing shows. Well, Brooke has got to go for something different. You can see him working the top part of the track, and it seems to be coming on. But Nathan McDonald is right there. So Brooke, he's got to stay with it. Some conviction required here. He goes to the outside on Dumsney. Brilliant racing here. Look at this for the Miners. McDonald is going to get up there and make sure that Brooke's got no way of getting back down. They come out of turn number 4, and if we were watching NASCARs, they'd say that is Brooke Tatnell hung out to dry. But Brooke, you've got to give him credit. He's not going to race in anyone else's tyre tracks. Well, Peter Murphy has been tantalisingly close on a couple of occasions. Each time, Skip is just so fast. There's a checkered flag. Skip Jackson takes the win from Peter Murphy in second. Danny Smith hanging on for third. What a fabulous race. Round 7 of World Series Sprint Cars, surprisingly enough, goes to Skip Jackson.